Hello everybody, it's Matthew here from Bead Spider and it's time for another live beading tutorial. Well, I say beading. Today I'm actually going to be doing a bit of macrame work. So we're going to be working with a nice chunky 9mm macrame weaving cord rather than doing more bead work today. But the fun thing is this design can be adapted and changed, and you can do all sorts of different things with it, which is lots of fun. Now, if you haven't seen, we do have a sale on at the minute for both this and the other design, which is called the Infinity, which if I just very, very quickly, for those of you who haven't seen, I see that it has been selling very, very well, very, very quickly. So I thought I would mention this so that if you are here and already watching, you can get in quickly and make sure that you get yours before it's gone. So just very, very quickly, I'll pop over to the website, which today you can see looks like this. This is the gorgeous design just here that I'm going to be making, but we also have another one which is called our Infinity. So if you click this big button just here that says shop now, when it takes you to the Bead Spider website, you can see we have our Infinity, the Beyond one, which is the one I'm going to be making today, but you can also get the other Infinity design. And at the minute, for the next few days, it's going to be, you can get 20% off when you buy any two or more, which there are several colors. You don't have to get one of each style. You can get whichever one you want. So I'm just showing you this very, very quickly. So if you have a look, there it is just there. If you just choose whichever one you like, so if you like a lavender color Beyond and a peacock Beyond, for example, you don't have to get one of each design. You just scroll on down, add it to the basket, and you'll get 20% off discount. But if you want to get more, you can just add as many as you like. In fact, even if you wanted to, you could get one of absolutely everything or three of this one. It makes no difference whatsoever. Just choose whichever one you like, and you will get 20% off every single one of them. So you can see they are at that reduced price. And if I just zoom out, whoops, not that far, just here to the very, very top, depending on where you are in the world, you can choose your currency as well. So if you'd rather pay in US dollars or euros, that is a possibility as well. Right, that is everything I needed to say about that design. But as I said, if you're going to go and get it, there is a link in the description and it is selling very well. So if you don't want to miss out on any of them, go check them out nice and early so that you can get your one there waiting for you. So as I said, we're going to be working with this 9mm cord. Comes in lots of lovely colors, lots of different options for you to play with and try out, whichever one you like. But in terms of today's design, so I'm going to be doing a bit of demonstrating in a couple of the different colors, actually, which if I just jump on over to my table just here, I'm going to be doing my knotting with this gorgeous color just here. It's like a blossomy pink color, this one just here, which I'm going to be doing my knots with. There's also this gorgeous lavender, which I'm going to use as my base cord a bit later on. So if you want to see what the design actually looks like, this is, you can see how it looks in terms of like size comparison. Just here, which if I hold it up just here on the corner, you can see it's quite a chunky little knit, which if I just pop back to my face here, this is one I'm going to be demonstrating with later. It gives you quite a nice chunky knit, so it goes great with your sweaters, but you can also use it for the summer as well. It's like a nice big statement chunky thing, and because you're using this lovely thick cord, which they're all these really soft muted tones, they look really nice. They kind of go with anything, but it's entirely up to you. This is the other design, which the yellow looks a little bit washed out for some reason. I think the color balance of the camera is not quite right. It's like a really nice mustard tone. This one just here is the other design, which I'll put a link in the description because I already have a tutorial showing you how you can make this little fella just here. This design is also a very nice one. There's a video for that if you want to watch that. But as I said, today we're going to be working on this style one here, but I'm going to be demonstrating with the lovely mauvey color, and I'm also going to be working with this blossomy pink color as well. And I'll show you the whole process. It's a nice, simple, and fun one using lark's head knots. So now, first things first, before I begin, let's just see who we have joining us today, giving us some comments. First cab off the rank is David, who says, hello, I'm here, but working on a bracelet. Welcome back, David. Glad to see you here. So thank you for joining us. We also have Madonna, who says, good day all, working and lurking, looking forward to the tutorial. We have Angelica, who is here as well from Wisconsin. Marlena is here. Hopefully everything is working over on Facebook, because I haven't seen too many Facebook comments coming in just yet. They tend to come in a little bit later. We also have Marlena in Tennessee. We have Meek Not Weak, who says, good morning from Memphis, Tennessee. So let me know whereabouts in the world you are. I want to say hello, give you a greeting, give you a little shout out, and we can get going with a little bit of knotting today, because I think it's going to be a very fun little tutorial where we do a bit of macrame knotting. So for starters, what we'll be doing in terms of materials, we're going to need a 9mm magnetic clasp. So I have this one just here. It has these nice big 9mm holes here at the top and at the other side, and it just snaps apart and back together like this to give you a very neat, very clean little finish like this just here, and just snaps together and looks really, really good. So it gives you can see it's like a really clean ending there. You can't see any of like the mess or anything like that of the end of your cord, but I'm also going to show you some good tips to help you do that process really, really neatly as well. But anyway, so you're going to need yourself a clasp. You need probably something in the region of about 6 meters of this cord, which, as I said, this is the 9mm thickness. So the size of the cord and the size of the cord end are about the same. You can get away with a clasp that's maybe 7 mils, 8 mils, something like that, maybe not too much smaller, because the cord will compress and fit into that little hole. So anyway, the bigger the hole is, the easier you will get it in, but it does compress down. And now Maxine's just joined. She says, I do love this necklace, which this is why I'm doing this tutorial, is because she really, really liked this design and wanted me to have a go and make it. And so because she loves it so much, which this is Maxine's little comment just here, because she loved it so much, she was like, you have to do it. I was meant to be doing this in a few weeks' time, but she wanted me to make all of the demo pieces sooner so that she could keep them. Hence why we're doing it today, so that she can start using them. So anyway, first things first, cut yourself a length of, so if you've got about 6 meters, as I said, you need 6 meters of the cord. What you need to do first is measure on yourself approximately the size that you want it to sit around your neck. So I would take any jumpers that you're wearing off, for example, or zip them up if they have collars like this, you know, so that you can get like a nice accurate measurement of where you want it to sit. Something maybe a little bit longer than this, because it's quite chunky, spreads it a bit. You want it to maybe sit down a bit closer to like the nape, below the nape of your neck. You can make it even longer if you want to. It's entirely up to you. But once you've figured out that length that you want around your neck, maybe add like 1 or 2 inches to that and just cut that bit off of your 6 meter total length. So 60 centimeters, which I think is around about 2 feet, is a pretty good sort of estimation of size. It doesn't matter if you make this piece too long. It'll only matter if you make it too short. So it's always better to sort of err on the side of too much than not enough. That's the important thing with that one. So anyway, first things first, with your remaining piece of cord, just here, we're going to start by doing our very first little knot piece. So it's quite a simple little process that we're going to do. So if you just lay your cord like this on the table right in front of you, that should be there, ready. This is going to be our knotting length, and the purple one we're going to have as the base cord. So the one that you measured around your neck, that's the base cord, the short one, and then the knotting cord is the really, really long one. So first things first, we're going to create like a loop. So just loop this around and lay it over the top of itself like this here. You can do it sort of big, you can do it small, it's entirely up to you, but the amount that you have here is cord that will be hidden, wrapped underneath some of your upcoming knots. So the less that you have here, the more difficult you'll make it slightly, but also the neater it will be when you're finishing off. So once you have that there, we're now going to lie. If you check, the end goes around and then lays over the top. And now laying over the top of both this piece and this piece, we're going to take the end of our other cord and see how this one is pointing in this direction. We want this cord to be pointing in the opposite direction. So just lay it over the top like this. So you can see this is now over the top of this, over the top of this, and then this one loops sort of over itself. So see, over the top of itself here, and then these go over the top of both. Now, if you have a little look, this creates like a little loop shape here at the bottom. And if you just hold on to your work just here, you can now grab this piece of cord here, and we're going to take it over the top of this base cord and little excess piece that we have, and we're going to take it down through this little loop just here. So the easiest way to do that, if you want to find the very, very end, that will make it easier for me to demonstrate, we're going to go over the top. So that's this piece just here. The other end of it comes through here, and we're going to take it inside that loop there, see? So just pull that all the way through, and what you want to do is just make sure that your work, that this sort of comes all the way through. You don't want this to come out of the loop or anything like that. Just pull, pull, pull. And at this point, you can sort of reduce the size of this little loop, sort of hold it about there. And then as you pull this cord, just feed it through nice and slow. It will reduce the size of this loop. Just pull that, reduce the size of the loop a bit further, pull that, and then just keep going, keep going, keep going, until it is nice and tight. Now, if you sort of look at it, it's a little bit wide. You can just sort of squeeze the two ends together, sort of pull this up, pull it up, pull it up, get it nice and firm like that. And then as you pull this sort of outwards, this side here, it brings it to about the right size that you want it to be. And now you can see this piece is now perfectly attached. It's knotted on to this one here, and you can see this is the short end of our cord. This little excess piece is now going to be running along our base cord. So the reason we want them to be running along each other is so that when we do our next knots, it's going to just hide it completely and you won't see this piece anymore. So from this point now, this little bit coming down here, we're going to loop it over the top and lay it over our work just here. So just loop that, bring it up. So you only need the tiniest little bit just there like this, and create a nice little loop. So this is going to be our first half of our lark's head knot that we're going to be making, which if you've never heard of a lark's head knot, essentially they look a lot like luggage tie knots. You know those knots that you do when you're attaching your little tags to your luggage when you're going overseas and whatnot? We're going to be doing a whole series of those. So anyway, once you've made this loop, hold this just here, and this piece is now going to go underneath our base cord, and we're going to pull it up and through that loop. Make sure this stays over to this side, this stays all here, and as you pull that tight, you can get that nice and firm. Just use your finger to sort of push it up, pull it up, push it up, pull it up, all of that, and get it nice and tight around your cord just there. And that's going to give you the first half of your lark's head knot. You'll see it also sort of wraps around this a little bit, around this tail piece a little bit. So now what we're going to do the second half of our lark's head knot. So you can see this is a really, really easy little design that we're going to be doing. Welcome to Purple Penny and Jane, by the way. One on Facebook and one on YouTube. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you enjoy these sorts of tutorials. We got a whole channel's worth of fantastic stuff. So anyway, now what we're going to do, is put this underneath. We're going to create another loop now. So you know how the first loop we went over the top? The next loop we're going to do underneath the base cord and this little excess piece. And yes, you guessed it, we're going to just pull this over the top and thread it through this loop. So I'll do it with the very, very end so that you can see it here. Here's the end. Go underneath. So it's going under here, and we're going to loop it through there and then into the loop and down under it. So when you pull that tight, you can see, make sure this stays inside of that loop. And as you pull it, it gets nice and firm, nice and tight. And lo and behold, there is your first little lark's head knot. Now, at this point, if you can see a little bit of space in there, you can make it a little bit tighter if you want to. Just sort of pull on the cord. Everything just pulls a little bit tighter if you need to. You can also pull on this little piece here. That will help to tighten this little one as well. And you can see it all comes nice and neat, just like that there. And all comes together as you do it. Now, of course, when you're making your own one, you would want the base cord piece to be the same color as your necklace, in the same way that as I've done with this one, so that when you have your knots, even though you can maybe see a tiny bit of the base cord, because it's the same color, you'll never realize that it's there. So anyway, that completes the first little lark's head knot. Now we're going to do our next one. So we're pretty much just going to be repeating the process that we've been doing. Welcome to Carol, by the way, who's commented in. We're going to just do our next one. So at this point, we're going to go back to the process of looping over the top. And we can just grab that. And we want this to go underneath here and up through this loop. So if you just pull your cord through and up through the loop, pull it all the way through like that. Keep your base cord out to the side. You can see there, it's gone over the top, around the back, and up through the loop. And just pull that nice and tight, like so. And just sort of position it nicely. There you go. And there's half of it done. So now we're going to do the second half of our knot. So once again, we're going to take this one underneath here, underneath your base cord and this little excess piece. Once we get rid of this excess piece and it's completely hidden, this process is really, really simple. So there you go. We have that loop. And now we're going to just take it over the top and through there. So over and under, pull it tight all the way through, just like that. And that's going to create another lark's head knot. Now, the nice thing about this design is it's actually sort of symmetrical on both sides, so that when you look at it on the back, lark's head knots. When you flip it back over, lark's head knots again. So the difference is, funnily enough, this is the back side because it has this one single one here. The front side, they're just all lark's head knots, and you will never see any of these little extra loops or anything. It's a very neat, symmetrical, and clean design. So again, if I just do it again really quickly, we're going to go over the top and loop it through that knot, pull it tight, and there you go. Then we go underneath this time. And once again, we're going to loop over the top and through. And then we can pull the whole lot through there and make sure this little piece stays inside of your loop. And pull tight, like so. And there you go. And you can just sort of neaten the knots as you go, and it creates this really nice chunky weave. So anyway, you've kind of got the gist now. I'm going to jump ahead to my lovely orange one, and I'm going to show you how you can finish this fella off. So once you are getting down towards the end, you can see we don't have too much of this little cord left over. You can see just here I've done a little lark's head knot. So when you have the loop across the top, also something I should mention, when you're doing your first knots, because there's that bit of cord on the inside, you can see it goes somewhere in here. It probably ends about there, I think. You've just got to make these first few knots a tiny bit tighter, and you can make all these ones a little bit looser, and it sort of keeps that same consistent size and shape, and you would never see that it's there. So anyway, now that we are at that point here, we can check I'm on the back side of my work because it has that one single piece in that one single loop. And now we're going to just whip off doing some of these little knots. So the first thing that we do when we finished our lark's head knot, so you can tell by this little piece being over the top, we're going to go over the top. If there's a loop over the top, you go over the top too. So that loop's over, this one's over too. Then you go through, pull tight, and just, there we go. Now you can see that there isn't a loop. The loop is actually on the other side. So now we have to go under. So we go under there, pull it through all the way, and loop that on there nice and firmly. And there's your next knot. And just continue with that process. So I'm going to just do that all the way until I get to the very, very end. So again, we go over. And the more knots you've done, the quicker and the easier it becomes. Just becomes easier and neater the whole way. Then the next one's going to go under and back through the loop there too. And once you reach the sort of length that you want for your neck, or once you start running out of this knotting cord just here, either one is perfectly acceptable, doesn't matter too much, you can start the process of tucking it in. So I'm going to do a couple of extra knots because I know this one needs to be a little bit longer so that it fits Maxine. And as we pull that tight, there's another nice little knot. And let's do one more, shall we? Let's go over. And you can see I'm almost out of cord now. There we go. And then this one goes under and through. Pull that tight. Get that there. And there you can see I've now got my last few knots done and dusted. And I'm ready to make this side sort of tuck this in so that it disappears and we don't have to worry about it anymore. So the first thing that we need to do one more little stitch. So we're going to, do you know what? I will undo one more knot just so I've got a little bit more to play with. I think this is, there we go. That's about right where we want to be. So we would do one last, I'll just do it for you so you can see. Once you've done your final lark's head knot, because we want it to be symmetrical and match this side here, we need to do this same single little loop piece on the end. So way to finish off is pretend you're going to do the first half of your lark's head knot. So you go over the top, underneath and through the loop, pull it tight, and just there like that. And now we're ready to start tucking it in, and it's going to look symmetrical on both sides. So at this point, we want to go underneath as though we were about to do our next knot. But instead of taking it back through here and under there and all of that, we're actually going to just lift up the loops of our knots here. And we're going to feed this little fella inside there. So the cord, it doesn't matter too much if the cord gets a little bit messy because we're going to just cut the end off anyway. So if it sort of goes a bit funny like this, don't worry about that. It's all fine. And then just slowly but surely underneath each of these little gaps, you can separate them out if you want to. We're going to take our little bit of cord and just feed it through the next loop, like so, and then through the next loop as well. And just however far you want. The more knots you go through, the more firm and the tighter your work will be when you finish it off. So it will mean it's less likely to come undone. So you can just keep going. I'll do one more. I also find a good tip, instead of trying to feed the absolute end in, you can just lift this and press the bottom of that little piece through there like that, and that should come through quite nicely. You can see it makes your work a little bit less neat temporarily. We're going to fix that in a minute. And at this point, you can decide, you can sort of figure out how tight, how loose, how neat, how ever you want all of your little knots to look, because the whole thing will slide. So if you wanted it to be really compressed into the center so that your knots are super tight, I don't know if that's your thing, you can do it. You can really, really shrink it down like this. If, for example, you want it to be a bit bigger, you can just take your time, stretch it out, and just get it to the exact point where you want it to be. If this little piece comes out, you can just tuck it back in. You're going to cut it off at the end anyway. And then just slide them down, slide them all down, get them nice and even around the work. And once you're happy with your knots and that they're all looking good, and you go, yeah, I think that looks nice. Spacing's looking good. The shape is looking good. Sizing is looking good. I think that's quite nice. You can sort of pull on this one just here, hold these knots at the very, very end so that it will pull that nice and tight inside there. But also you want to make sure these ones are a little bit tighter. So I'm going to just go through, and if you pull on the first loop where this one comes out of, you can see it squeezes that a little bit tighter. Then pull on the next loop over there, like so. Then we're going to pull on the next loop, and that should get our next piece a bit tighter. And just slowly pull these through one by one until you have them at the exact tightness you want them to be. So just take a bit of time with it, pull on them all, get them nice and neat. And when you have them nice and tight, it will sort of squeeze this down a little bit tighter and compress this so that the knots end up being the exact same size, which I'm almost there. Get that one here to pull on this knot, because we want to just tighten the size of this just here. So just pull down there. There we go. Maybe pull on this one as well. And then as we do this, we can now pull here, lift this up a bit more, pull there. Just sort of feed it through until it's looking really good. And then the knots, you can see, even though that cord is inside there, if you need to loosen it a little, it's fine. Even though that cord is going through there, the knots all stay the same size. And this is the sort of size how we want it to be looking. Just getting it all looking lovely, looking great, looking perfect. Test it on your neck for size. So that's sort of idea just here. And then you want to you can leave this, if you have the extra bit here, that's perfectly fine. It's only going to be at the very, very back, so it makes it nice and comfortable on the back of your neck. But if you prefer, you don't need to have this. You can also sort of glue it down like this and then slide the knots right up if you want it to be completely up to this part here so that it looks like there's no base cord whatsoever. That's completely doable. You just glue it in, and then you slide your knots up like that, slide the whole thing up into position. I personally kind of like having a little bit here. So the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to grab myself, first of all, a little bit of masking tape, which is nice and easy. You don't need much. You only need like a nice thin little strip. So grab yourself your scissors and cut yourself a thin little strip like so. And let's say I want to cut it about there. I think I'll cut it about there. So I'm going to wrap this so that the point where I want to cut is sort of somewhere in the middle of the tape, like this, because it will help to keep it all together. There you go. And now, at this point, if I just bring in my tape, it'll keep the end nice and close. You want to make sure you don't have any tape showing when you come to gluing your end. So if you have a look, if I was to cut it, I'll just get one of these little pieces here. If I was to cut it, say, here, the cap, it's going to be showing a little bit of tape right at the top, which we don't want that. So you need to make sure that you're cutting it so that there's only a very thin piece of tape and it will hide inside of your little cap there. So if we say somewhere in the region of about here, just give it a little snip. Your ending will be nice and clean, nice and neat, and most importantly, it doesn't hide at all. So if you test it and you go, do you know what? I haven't cut enough off, cut a bit more. There we go. And again, it's still saying being held all nice and tight, nice and firm. And now this time, when I squeeze it, it makes it way easier to actually feed all of this inside of the cap. And when I compress it in there, you can see it's going to completely hide that little ending. It's going to keep it nice and neat, nice and tidy, nice and clean like that. And you just have this small little end just here at the very end, which I think is quite nice, quite neat, looks very, very clean. Now, at this point, you can do the exact same on the other end. So you want to make sure that your two ends are the same length. So at this point, I'm going to add my tape just here, again, a tiny little thin strip of masking tape. Malcolm asks, is this cord? This is with a 9mm macrame woven macrame cord. So now, once again, I can see I want to cut it around about here. So I'm going to just wrap it at this point, like so. And I can be sure that these are about the same point. Make sure that this is going to be well within the thing. And I need to cut somewhere in the region of about here to keep it symmetrical, which hopefully there's a small enough amount of tape that it won't show. But if it does, you just cut off a teeny weeny bit more and then feed it inside there like this. And again, whoops, there you go. You can see it's going to give you that lovely, neat finish. Once we've got some glue, which I've just realized I've left my glue in the other room, as per usual, of course. If I zoom on out, hopefully we can see, we've got this little piece just here, looking good. We have equal amounts, and essentially all you would have to do, you can slide these out. They're held nice and firm by the tape. You can fill this fella with glue. Now, when it comes to choosing your glue, I don't recommend using super glue. Now, the reason I say that is because super glue tends not to bond very well with metal. So one type of glue that is better are like silicon-based glues, or, for example, like epoxy resin gel glues, things like that. As long as you check on the packaging of the material and it says, yes, it will bond to metal, then you can use it for doing your little class pieces like this. You just pour it inside here. The handy thing is, because this cord is woven and the glue is wet as well, it will soak into your cord as well, bonding all of that to the side, to itself, getting it nice and firm, getting it nice and solid, which won't happen when you use super glue. It can very easily just pop out again later. And then essentially, once you've filled it with glue, you just push that little end in and then just leave it there, ready to harden. Do the same on the other one. You can even pop them together if you want to, and if you want to do them simultaneously. Otherwise, do them one at a time, I recommend. And then once you are completely ready, completely done and completely finished. The last thing you have to do is cut this piece off. Now, the way that you would do that, because unfortunately I didn't bring in my glue, so I can't glue this end, but the way you would do that, and then I have another tip for you just after that. The way you would do that is if you just slide this back just a little, like that there, so that when you have this here, you've just exposed a tiny, tiny bit more of the cord here. See that? Just slide that knot apart, bring in your scissors, and just very, very slowly, trying not to get your actual lark's head knot part, very slowly, just little by little, snip, 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 snip it away until it's completely gone. And now, when you put your work back, it completely hides that cord. The knot is gone. The excess cord is gone. You'll never see it again. You'll never know it was there. And your design is going to look very, very clean, very, very neat. And if you turn it over, you'll see this little end just here has one little loop right at the very end, and this one on the other side also has just that one single loop. But when you turn it over to the front, you don't have that at all. It is completely just these lark's head knots all the way around, all the way around. You're getting very sleepy. Close your eyes. No. And then you end up having a completely neat, perfect looking little knot. But this is the last and one of the most important tips to increase the longevity of your design. At this point, I recommend you put a little bit of glue and you just dab a bit. You lift up this first little loop and you put some glue inside here so that this little knot, this loop on your last piece here, and this bit that comes down here on the inside, see that little bit that we just cut just before? If you glue these two pieces together, they will not come undone. Where over time, if you do not do it like that, even though it goes all the way through to, like, you know, through to here, slowly over time it might loosen. This will start coming out maybe. If you nip that in the bud right at the beginning and just glue that in there, so that these two pieces are permanently affixed to each other, you'll never have to worry about that. And then when it comes to wearing your design, you will have, assuming you actually have some glue to glue your end, you will have a gorgeous necklace, which, if I can just hide that little bit in there, I can cut this excess bit off. I didn't clean that off. So see how this bit is all a bit mutilated? If you cut it in the same way that you did with this, you can remove the tape when you're starting. That's how I should have started this. You remove the tape and then knot around it. It will give you a much cleaner finish. And either way, you won't see it. You can sort of hide it anyway. Just slide your knots around a bit to get it completely hidden. There we go. That's a bit better. Get that positioned there. And that hides that little bit of fluff. And whoops. One fully finished necklace. Done, dusted, looking great. And when you go to wear it, you can just snap these two pieces apart. And there it is, fully finished and looking lovely. Now, Angelica says this would make a cool anklet. I agree. It would look very, very nice as an anklet, I think. Do you know what? I was thinking you could even do it if you don't pull it too tight through the middle. You could very easily do it as like a chunky bracelet, or if you use like a 5mm cord, you could do it with that as well. Now, of course, there's also the lovely infinity design as well, which, if you haven't seen it, do you know what? I'll show you it on the website. It doesn't take me long. That's pretty much it for today's tutorial. Now, go check out the link in the description if you want to go either and get either of these designs. You can get up to 20% off if you go and get it. You've got about a week to do that if you want to make those, but they do look very, very effective. So if I show you I will put a link in the description afterwards, but for anyone who is wanting to see how to make the infinity style one, if I just pop back to the Bead Spider website here, you can see you can just shop now and get the lovely kit. But if you want to find the tutorial for the other design, up here at the top of our menu, if we just zoom on in, it says kits and tutorials. When you zoom on in, you can see it says kits, all kits, learning tools, patterns, and down here, fourth one, video tutorials. You can also find it a bit further down on the homepage. If you just scroll on down here, at the very bottom, free video tutorials. Start watching now. So either of those works. Kits and tutorials, video tutorials, just here. Click on that one if you don't zoom in too far. Video tutorials. And then there you go. You can see here is the one which we've just been doing today. But just a couple of weeks earlier, the infinity design, if you click on that one, the video is right here. You can just click on that, press play, and maybe I'll make sure that I am muted so that you guys don't hear that. But there you go. Look, there's loads of different colors that you can do, and I teach you the entire process all the way through on how you can make that lovely design right there yourself. And there's me. Look, there I am. And I think this video is about 13 minutes in total. So not a very long one at all, but it will teach you the whole process. But as I said, if you want to go and get the kit and you want to get it for 20% off, there's this gorgeous lavender purple, the peacock, again, it's in both colors, the sage green, I really, really like. This is what the mustard looks like more accurately. So on the video, for some reason, it looks weirdly a bit yellow, greeny. For some reason, slightly got a green hue to it. It's actually like a really lovely mustard color. I really like that one. The sienna, which is the one I've just been demonstrating, and then the blossom is the one I was demonstrating with at the beginning, not the beginning. But if you come up to the one at the top where it says, seeing as they're called the infinity and the beyond, I could not resist. So I called this kit Beyond just so that I could make this joke. Hence, it is called the Infinity and Beyond. 20% off kit. You can just select your options. I know, hold back the laughter, hold it back. You can do it. I believe in you. So anyway, if you want to get 20% off, you can choose any of the designs. You don't have to get one of this. You don't have to get an Infinity and a Beyond. You can get two different Beyonds if you prefer. Just get those two Beyonds. Scroll on down, add them to basket, and you get 20% off. If you prefer the infinity design, you can get two of the infinities. You can get 3, you can get 4, 5. It doesn't matter. As long as you've got at least 2, any 2, doesn't matter which ones, you get that 20% off discount. So for example, if you've got 2 infinities, it's only £19.12. In US dollars, that equates to $12.76 each. So they are very, very inexpensive little kits. Very, very nice. Very, very quick and easy. $25.52. And that includes all the tax and all of that. You don't have to pay any additional things. It's not like when you go to a shop in the US and it goes, oh, yeah, $12.76 plus tax. It's not like that. It's all included right there. That's the price. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed that. Usually I do my tutorials every Friday, but at the minute I'm doing them every second Friday. So if you missed the one 2 weeks ago, that was the beaded pen wrap. We do lots of beaded things. This Entice one is nice. Go check them out. We do also have a whole range of beading kits. We have a whole load of beading patterns as well. If you want to just get the patterns and not buy any of the products. But just to mention, if you do get any of our kits, they do include full instructions. So you can see we've got plenty of patterns and downloads and things just here. If I just head back to the kits, especially if you're brand new, let's just go to the all kits just here. And you can see we have lots and lots of different ones. Scroll on down, you can see. And as I said, they all include full instructions. So just scroll on down. If you like this bride-to-be Alexandra one, there it is there. You can get that for £19.95, and it includes, as it says, full instructions included. All of our kits are like that we try and do them with full instructions. So anyway, go just have a look. There's plenty of things to look at. This one's like a nice popular one that we did recently. Keep going. Loads and loads and loads. Look, 8 pages worth. So anyway, that is pretty much it from me for today. A nice quick one to get us off and rolling into the weekend now. So thank you all very, very much for joining me. We had some great comments coming in just there at the end. Jane says, thank you, Matthew. Lovely design. Great for holidays. Exactly. Do you know what? I think this one's going to be one of those designs that is perfect both for summer and for winter. You can sort of wear it at any time. Oh, yeah, this was something I was going to mention. Amber has said you could add lace and beads to embellish a beautiful blouse or dress, which if I just pop back over here, that is actually something I was going to mention, but I completely forgot. If you had some large jump rings, say maybe 10 mil or something like that, you could very easily be just looping them straight onto these little pieces here. They lift enough that you can easily thread your little jump ring through there, and then you can hang yourself a little bead off the middle if you wanted to have like a pendant at the center, or maybe you wanted to put some big crystal drops, or maybe you beaded some like some Rivoli drop shapes or something like that. That is another idea. You can loop onto these bits. I completely forgot, but thank you, Amber, for reminding me. Again, that is a very, very good idea. Now, Meek Not Weak says, what an amazing news source. I'm so glad I found this channel. Thank you for this great tutorial. We'll be shopping this weekend for my kit. Well, thank you very, very much. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Make sure, though, if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button. And there's a little bell as well so that you get notifications of when I'm going to be doing my tutorials and my videos and whatnot, because we do them a lot. I try and do them at least something new every week, but if not, at the minute, they're going to be every 2 weeks. So anyway, Malcolm is still here. He says he got the Valentine's pen wrap kit, and it's awesome. I'm glad you liked that one, Malcolm. Thank you. I'm glad you got on well with it. Angelica says, have an amazing weekend, everyone. Purple Penny says the same. David says, thank you, Matthew. Thank you for sticking around, David. But anyway, just make sure you check out our website and all the links there in the description, because we have a great Facebook group as well, which you might enjoy checking out. There's also a little link to sign up to our newsletter, and you get a £5 voucher for any of our beading patterns. It's a £5 voucher as long as you have at least £5 worth, which I think equates to somewhere in the region of like $6.50 or something like that. That many's worth of patterns in your basket, it will reduce that off your total bill. So essentially, you could try out some of our patterns completely for free. It's up to you. But anyway, you just have to subscribe to our newsletter to get that. So thank you all very, very much for watching. I will be back with another live tutorial in 2 weeks' time. I've got a lovely design coming up for that one. In the interim, I'm hoping to get a couple of little videos, some big bead technique videos. So doing techniques with big beads. I've got my big beads ready to go. They're nice chunky ones that are similar shapes to delicas. And I'm going to do those for all sorts of different beading stitches just to try and make it extra easy and see. So anyway, thank you all very, very much for joining me. I hope you had lots of fun. Make sure you comment down below the best way to get this video happening and that people will be seeing it and finding our channel. Make sure you're subscribing, but also definitely pop a little comment down below letting me know which color of the kits is your favorite. There's 6 different ones. Which of the designs do you like better? Did you prefer the infinity one? Do you prefer the beyond? Do you like them both? I don't know. Let me know. Comment down below and help me out, which actually, just to mention it, we reached 60,000 subscribers just yesterday. So let's get to 100. I want to get to 100. Let's go. So anyway, thank you all very, very much for watching. I hope you have a lovely weekend, and I will see you for my next tutorial in a couple of weeks' time. So thanks very much again, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.